Our book of the month, called All the Names They Used for God, fuses together science, myth, and imagination. And we have the book's author, Anjali Sachdeva, here with us today. I'm so happy to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you too.
Thank you so much for being here. And tell us first about this combination. They're short stories,
yes,
all kind of woven together. Tell us about how you created this.
I wrote this book over many years, so the stories are really in all different time periods, locations, but they all have some element of magic in them. So sometimes that's science, sometimes it's sort of like a ghostly presence, but there's something magical in all of them.
How did you come up with this idea? And for all of the short stories, what drew you to this?
I think I often actually start with a place that I really love. So there's the first story in the book. I took a trip to Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky, and just being down in those caves really inspired me, and that ended up in the story. But sometimes it's just an idea that crosses my mind that's really weird, and I want to see where I can take it.
Anjali, you said something to me which I thought was, I don't know, really interesting. You said when you were little, you didn't think that this was something you could do. Like, they just kind of like appeared, these beautiful stories.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about, I loved reading. I was always reading, but I never thought it was a thing that just normal people sat down and wrote a book.
Right.
So it is very fun for me to be doing that now at this point in my life.
Tell us about some of the stories that people will be able to read in your book.
Yeah, so the second story in the book, a lot of it is actually set in Pittsburgh, or it starts in Pittsburgh in the steel mills, with this man who is in a horrible accident where he breathes in melted glass. And so the story is called Glass Lung, and it kind of traces his journey to try to deal with this thing that has happened to him. There is a story about a fisherman who meets a mermaid, but it's not, I think people think that would be like whimsical and exciting, but it sort of destroys his life. So
by meeting a mermaid.
Yes, it's got a bit of a darker turn to it.
And you have taken something that you have found passion in, and now you're teaching other people about this. Tell us about the classes that you're teaching.
Yeah, I teach in the MFA program at Chatham University. It is just really great to see this whole next generation of writers coming up. And I also work with the undergraduates there. So I was teaching a class this term on gender and sexuality in speculative fiction, just to see the students get so excited and asking such interesting questions. It also keeps my own writing fresh, because I get to talk to young people about kind of what's on their mind right now.
In this world of instant gratification, you said that this took you years to write. What was that process like to go through? I mean, were there times where you felt like you were going to give up, or did you just stick with it?
I don't think I ever thought I would give up, but I didn't. I definitely had times where I thought, no one else will ever see this. I'm just doing it for me. You know, it'll never get published, but I'm just doing it because I like doing it. So it was really gratifying for the book to actually be published and to get emails from people who had read it, and really wonderful, yeah.
And you said this is your first?
Yes.
And only right now, but you are working on something else already.
Yes, I am working on a novel. So it's a very different process from writing stories, because here I got to sort of, any idea that interested me, and this is what I love about story collections, you could just jump from idea to idea. So now it's trying to get my head around how to keep everything within one world and one set of characters. It's
really, it's fascinating, your process. Do you mind if I pick this up just
a
little bit? Did you have a favorite story that you were able to share in this?
I think the last story, which is called Pleiades, is one of my favorites. You had mentioned it in the intro. It's about these identical septuplets. Their parents are geneticists and create this genetic process to make them all identical. But it does not turn out terribly well for them.
And I'm assuming, based on the title, does God appear in each one of these stories?
So some idea of faith, or like putting your faith in something bigger, comes into all of the stories. In some of the stories that is religion, but in some of them it's, you know, some people, like, science is their religion. That's actually what the character in that last story says about her parents. To them, science was their religion. So it might be art, it might be nature, but in some way that idea of faith in something bigger than yourself is there.
Well, congratulations, Anjali, on your first book. We look forward to hearing more about your second and your first novel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you would like a copy for All the Names They Used for God, we're going to link you up on our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh.